Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. You know, I gotta say, I'm glad that we switched to bringing you our GE rankings every Monday instead of just analyzing the AP poll. Because I saw the new AP rankings that came out on Sunday. And when I saw those, I said, wow, those are terrible. Those are terrible, and they need some major changes. Here they are. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Again, bringing you our own rankings, the Gridiron Expert rankings heading into Week 8 of this college football season. No bias from ourselves, no bias from the AP, no bias from the playoff committee when that time comes. Solely based on what we think, solely based on our system and our metrics. Solely here at the Gridiron Expert. These are our top 25 rankings, and we're here to break them down for you today. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And of course, check out everything down in the description below, guys. Especially go sign up and take a look at those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. The link for that is down in the description. And over there, you will find some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. No lie. 11-1 run in the NFL, hitting 59% of our bets in the NFL right now, and it'll be 60 very soon, easily by next week. College football, one of the best marks over the last 3 years, beating out 80% of the national analysts each of the last 3 years. So you guys like Stanford Steve, the Bear at ESPN, every analyst at CBS, every analyst at NBC, anybody else you're going to find on the internet, we're going to beat them. 80% of the national analysts. Make sure to go sign up for those expert picks today, guys, so you don't miss out on our picks and our analysis that come out every single Wednesday, again, over on the gridironexpert.com. So let's take a look at these rankings, guys, and we'll try to go through it pretty quick. Relatively quickly. We had a wild Week 7, right? 7 top 25 teams went down. 5 of those were to unranked opponents. So we have a handful of teams that have dropped out of our rankings. I'll tell you where they are right now. Arkansas, Florida, BYU, Arizona State, and Texas have all fallen out of our top 25. Every single one of them have fallen out of our top 25. Arkansas was 16th for us. Florida was 18th. BYU was 20th. Arizona State 21st. And Texas was 24th, and they all lost on Saturday, and they're out. But let's go ahead and start up with the top. In the top 10, where I don't think there should be much discussion. Obviously, Georgia's number 1. They're 7-0, best team in all the land. Just took down number 11 Kentucky 30-13. That it was their 3rd straight victory over a top 20 opponent. No one is knocking Georgia off their pedestal until they actually do. Georgia will remain number 1 until someone actually finds a way to beat them. And I don't know if anybody will. So the Bulldogs, number 1. Cincinnati in at number 2. Iowa losing to Purdue opened the door for a team like Cincinnati and a few others to sneak into the top 4. Move up a few spots. The number 2 team in the country fell to Purdue 24-7. Cincinnati beat UCF 56-21. While that doesn't mean that they deserve, just to skyrocket, Cincinnati was already number 3 in our rankings. So naturally number 3 is going to move to 2 when the number 2 team goes down. Cincinnati playing some really dang good football, whether you want to believe it or not. The Bearcats are 2. Oklahoma is 3. They are at 7-0. For the first time this year, Oklahoma beat an FBS team by more than one possession. They have found their answer. Spencer Rattler wasn't it. Caleb Williams was. He lit up TCU, defeating the Horned Frogs 52-31. So the Oklahoma defense still needs some help, but the offense that just felt stagnant, didn't feel Oklahoma-like, it's back. The Oklahoma team we saw against TCU is the Oklahoma team we all thought we'd be seeing since day 1. So the Sooners are number 3, and with the move to Caleb Williams at quarterback, they could end up running the table the rest of the way and lighting up teams that we thought they would all year long. Penn State is in at number 4, moving up a spot for us. Now, some will disagree with that. Why is Penn State, who's 5-1, in above Alabama? Why are they in above Michigan? Here's the thing, guys. Penn State is a dang good football team. Their only loss was to Iowa, and someone's going to say, well, Iowa just lost to Purdue. Shouldn't that make Penn State look worse? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Let's keep in mind, guys, if we're going to take everything into account, all the factors, Penn State, and I do believe this now, would have won that game over Iowa at Iowa had Sean Clifford not gone down with an injury. Had Sean Clifford been healthy from start to finish, I believe Penn State would have won that game. I really do. He goes down. Credit to Iowa's defense, credit to Iowa's special teams, not trying to take much away from them, but if Sean Clifford stays healthy, Penn State wins. And they're maybe not number 4, maybe they're number 3 or number 2. Penn State, to me, right now is a top 4 team in the country. Over Alabama, who's 5, 6-1. They lost to A&M 2 weeks ago, bounced back, beat Mississippi State. To me, they jumped Michigan. I know Michigan was on a bye. I don't like punishing teams for being on bye. But Alabama, with a 40-point bounce-back victory on the road at Mississippi State, that impressed me. Again, the Bulldogs, not the most elite of opponents by any means, but Mississippi State did beat Texas A&M in College Station, who did beat Alabama, who was unable to win in College Station. A couple factors there at play. Alabama jumping up 2-5. Michigan in at number 6 off the bye week. But again, the Wolverines, the real deal, no doubt about it. We got Oklahoma State in at number 7, moving up 4 spots for us after their 32-24 victory at Texas. The Cowboys are 6-0, guys. And while they might not be the sexiest 6-0 team, they might be the flashiest, doing it with style, they're winning. They're winning. They won at Boise State, who won at BYU. It's a circle of life this year in college football, guys. This guy beat this guy, who beat that guy, who beat that guy. Doesn't mean necessarily your team's better than this other guy. You've seen, you go down the trend, you can say Vanderbilt's better than Alabama. No. But it is interesting to see how that works, right? And Oklahoma State did beat Boise State, who beat BYU, right? Oklahoma State did beat Baylor, right? They beat Baylor, who right now we have nearly a top 10 team. Baylor, who annihilated BYU. Oklahoma State beat Kansas State, and now they have defeated Texas on the road, coming back down 14. Dominant rushing attack, dominant defense. Mike Gundy's Cowboys are for real. They're up 4. Watch out for them, guys. It's a 2-team race in the Big 12 right now, although the Cowboys do have a trap game in Ames this Saturday as they take on Iowa State. Oregon in at 5, Ohio State at 9, or Oregon in at 8, Ohio State at 9, Michigan State in at 10. None of those teams moved in our rankings. 8, 9, 10, the exact same. I believe in the head-to-head. The AP poll, and I guarantee you the College Football Playoff Committee right now would have Ohio State a couple spots ahead of Oregon, and I disagree with that. Yes, the Ducks nearly lost to California. Yes, Ohio State has looked good in their last 2 games, but against who? Maryland and Rutgers? Congrats. Good job, Ohio State. You're taking care of your inferior opponents. Good for you. Oregon still beats you at your house. The Ducks are going to be ranked ahead of you unless there's a major reason for you to jump them or Oregon loses. So the Ducks at 8, Ohio State at 9, Michigan State at 10 after a 5-point victory at Indiana. Some could say the Spartans should be higher. Wasn't too impressed with their victory at Indiana. They will remain at number 10. Excuse me. Baylor in at number 11. Here's the thing, guys. For the last 2 weeks, I have said Baylor is a top 25 team. They have played like it. They have shown it consistently. The AP poll just ranked them. Just ranked them again. They dropped them out after a loss to Oklahoma State. Another reason why the AP poll is flawed. Because the way Baylor played 2 weeks ago against West Virginia, beating them by 25, the way Baylor just played against BYU, who at the time was number 19, shows to me that Baylor is a legitimate top 25 team. To me, they're the 11th ranked team in the country. And I'm not budging on that. This Baylor team is good. Electric offense, put up 500 yards of offense against BYU, beat them 38-24. The defense is great under Dave Aranda. They're taking care of business at home, and that's key because guess what? They host Texas and they host Oklahoma. Baylor could find themselves in the Big 12 championship, guys. That is not far-fetched. This Baylor team reminds me a lot of the team that we saw in 2019. They were 1 game away from making the college football playoff. They did make the Big 12 championship that year. Made the Sugar Bowl that year too. Baylor's for real. No one's going to rank them this high. But they are a top 15 caliber team, and they have shown that to me the last few weeks. The only loss to Oklahoma State, and that game was a 3-point game in the 4th quarter up until the final minutes when Oklahoma State got that late touchdown to win by 10. Remember that. Baylor at 11. Ahead of Ole Miss, who moves up a spot from 13th for us, but escaped Tennessee 31-26 at Neyland Stadium with a very, very wild and controversial ending. Controversial from the officials, but obviously a very bad sight from what the fans did in Knoxville, consistently throwing trash down on the field, debris flying everywhere, Lane Kiffin getting pegged with a golf ball. A lot of bad things happening at Tennessee. They were a dumpster fire going into the season. Josh Heupel seems to turn turn a corner with this team. They're a little bit more competitive. Their fans, though, still a little classless and still a little bit of a dumpster fire themselves. They got a lot to work on in Knoxville from a culture standpoint. So Ole Miss up at number 12, win at Tennessee. They're winning. They're getting the job done. But remember, give credit to Ole Miss, guys, who they beat. The best win, arguably, is the one at Arkansas, and they needed to stop on a 2-point conversion to win that game. Again, not to take anything away from the Rebels, but that's their best win. Their biggest game was Alabama. They got blown out in that game. So they've beat Louisville, they've beat Tulane, they've beat Arkansas, Austin Peay, and now Tennessee. not many quality wins on Ole Miss's schedule. There's an opportunity for that's coming, but right now, not too many. Still a top 12 team for us. Offense is tough to stop, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Iowa in at 13. They dropped 11. We had them at number 2, just like many did across the country. You lose by 17 points to an unranked Purdue team, allowing 378 passing yards and allowing David Bell to put up 240 reception yards and 11 receptions. No, that's a mouthful. Yeah, you don't deserve to be a top 10 team. 13th for Iowa. Iowa's defense, I still believe, is good, but we know their offense wasn't, and that showed on Saturday. Their offense is practically non-existent, and you're not going to win championships if you don't have an offense. They say defense wins championships, that's true, but you need to be able to move the ball down the field a little bit too, especially in crunch time. In Iowa, I would never have faith for them to do that. So the Hawkeyes down to number 13 after being number 2 just last week. Notre Dame and Coastal remain the same at 14 and 15. Neither played this last week, and there was no reason for me to justify moving either of them up. So Iowa, Notre Dame. Most of the big events that happened, guys, the teams that dropped out of our rankings were all ranked outside the top 15. Any major action and shifts mostly happened above the top 15. We have a lot of newcomers that we'll touch on, but really, in the middle of the pack, there wasn't much going on. So Notre Dame and Coastal Carolina remain at 14 and 15. Kentucky drops 4. They lost 30-13 at Georgia. Can't blame them. I'm not going to drop Kentucky that far for losing to the number 1 team in the country and actually dropping 13 on them. So Kentucky dropped about 4, which is about consistent with how much Auburn has dropped and Arkansas dropped after their losses to Georgia as well. Wake Forest remained the same. The Demon Deacons in at 17, still undefeated, fresh off a bye. Interesting non-conference game this weekend against Army, who hung with Wisconsin in Madison this last weekend. Auburn is up 7 spots. The Tigers are 5-2, maybe the second best team in the West, or third, I guess you could say, behind Ole Miss and Alabama. Auburn's 5-2. They beat Arkansas 38-23 in Fayetteville. A lot of bad calls from the referees in that game as well, but also a lot of bad play calls from Arkansas in that game as well, ultimately being their downfall in that game to the Tigers. So Auburn up 7 spots for us. They were barely a top 25 team for us last week. The win against Arkansas proved that we were right. They were top 25, and they deserve to be a little bit higher. 18th for Brian Harsin and the Tigers. And the rest, guys, kind of moved up just because of the teams that lost ahead of them. NC State, they beat Boston College 33-7 on the road. An impressive victory for the Wolfpack, who very well could win the ACC Atlantic. Remember, they've already defeated Clemson. All you got to do now is take down Wake. But the Wolfpack up 3 spots, up to number 19. Texas A&M also up 3 spots to number 20 after their 21-point victory over Missouri. No letdown for the Aggies after their big win over Alabama. Very impressed by that. Rounding out our top 25, the final 5 teams, Pittsburgh is new. 21st in the country for Pat Narduzzi and the Panthers. And they'd be much higher if they had not lost to Western Michigan. How they did that beats me. But they are now the front runner in the ACC Coastal. They defeated Virginia Tech 28-7 on the road. Kenny Pickett is playing as well as any quarterback in the country right now. 21 touchdowns to 1 interception, something like that. The ratio is ridiculous. Kenny Pickett, guys, he's the real deal. Pittsburgh is the real deal. They could, and I'm not joking, could finish 11-1. They deserve to be ranked 21st. Purdue is in at number 22. Some say they shouldn't be ranked at all. Some say 22 could be too high. Look, after A&M beat Alabama, they weren't ranked, right? They weren't ranked, but after A&M beat Alabama, I threw A&M in at 23, all right? And they were 4-2. So I'm putting Purdue in at number 22, sitting at 4-2, exact same record, after win over the number 2 team in the country. The Boilermakers deserve this. They did something that not a lot of people could do, going on the road to Kinnick and winning first off, and then dominating at Kinnick, 24-7. So the Boilermakers, guys, are a threat in the Big Ten West. No one thought they would be, kind of coming out of nowhere, but watch out for Jeff Brom and the Boilermakers, guys. Again, this is a team that at 4-2, only losses are to Minnesota and Notre Dame. Not a bad loss either. They deserve to be ranked at 22. And again, guys, if Iowa slips up somewhere else, the Boilermakers, especially if they take care of Wisconsin this weekend, are a legitimate Big Ten title contender. San Diego State cracks our top 25 for the first time. I know they've been the AP poll in the past. They deserve it now, though. One of the best defenses, rushing defenses especially, in the country. 6-0, defeated San Jose State in double overtime. Not that impressed by that, but they do deserve to be ranked, sitting at 6-0. Remember, they have a win over Utah, and that win looking a lot more impressive after the Utes just took down number 18 Arizona State. Utah now leading in the Pac-12 South. SMU is back in our top 25. Last week we dropped them out. Now we put them back in. That's the beauty of rankings, guys. They can just fluctuate as much as you want. SMU, we weren't impressed with their win over Navy. We thought some other teams were better suited to take their spot. Those teams were not, such as Texas. SMU didn't even play last week, but now they're back in at number 24, where we had them ranked just a few weeks ago. Finally, in our top 25, Iowa State. Say what you want. Say Arkansas should be 25th, Texas, San Antonio, Clemson for some. Disagree with that. Iowa State, to me, deserves to be right here at the end of our top 25. They just went on the road and took down a solid Kansas State team, 33-20. The only losses for them were to Iowa by 10 and to Baylor by 2, both of which are in our top 15, top 13. So Iowa State's only losses are those two teams, one at home, one on the road. This is still a team that's balanced offensively, still a team that's loaded with experience, and still a team that if they take down Oklahoma State on Saturday, remember that game is in Ames, will be still a contender in the Big 12, still could win the Big 12 championship. They've yet to play Oklahoma, could still get to that title game. Only one conference loss. Let's keep that in mind. So the Cyclones, I believe, not high, but do deserve to be a top 25 team. They have a chance to expand on that and prove that even more when they take on the Cowboys on Saturday. So there you have it, guys. Our Gridiron Expert Top 25 heading into Week 8 of this college football season. Again, a lot of differences from the AP poll because the AP poll's wrong. Playoff committee usually doesn't get it right. The AP poll doesn't get it right. We're not saying we're perfect. We are not saying these rankings are perfect at all. And that's why we want to hear from you. Who's too high, who's too low, who should be ranked that isn't, who shouldn't be ranked that's on here. We want to hear from you. Leave your rankings in the comments below, guys. Let's get talking. But these are what we believe based on our opinions, based on our metrics and our system, what the top 25 should be going into Week 8. And again, guys, while it might not be the most exciting of all weeks, no ranked versus ranked matchups, we know by the end of Saturday night it's going to be another wild day of college football. Tons of upsets left and right, and our rankings next Monday, of course, will look drastically different. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. Go sign up for those expert picks. I cannot stress that enough. Some of the best college football, NFL picks, spread picks you will find in the country anywhere. Any site, any video, anywhere. It's going to be right here at the Gridiron Expert and on thegridironexpert.com. The link for that down in the description. Make sure to go give it a look. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.